Losing a job doesn't have to be the end of the road. With the right mindset, it can be the beginning of a brand new opportunity. Today, we're talking about resilience, reinvention, and the power of connections. Meet Kyra Guy, a talented professional who recently faced an unexpected career transition due to federal cutbacks. Now, let me tell you, she's got the skills, the experience, and the drive to make an impact at the right company. Could that be yours? In this episode of Success from Day One, we'll dive into Kyra's career journey, what she's looking for next, and how you can help connect her to the right opportunity. If you're hiring or know someone who is, stick around because you don't want to miss this great conversation with Kyra Guy. Hi, friends, and welcome to another edition of Success from Day One. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, and today we're talking career transitions with my friend Kyra. Kyra, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself, tell the audience who you are, and a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Dave, for letting me be here. It's an honor and a privilege, of course, just to be on day one. This is so much fun. I am Kyra Guy. I am a professional here in the economic development world, the networking space. I live here in Dallas, Fort Worth. I'm from Osceola, Arkansas, a small town situated about 30 miles from Memphis, Tennessee. So it's small country girl, takes big city. And we're ready to take it by storm. I like to engulf myself with wherever I am. So I've tried to stay busy around Dallas, local church here. I like to play basketball, softball at a local league. Not that I'm any good. No contracts have been offered yet. So I got some work to do, but that's okay. I golf on the side. You know, Dallas is amazing. It's always been second home to me, and we're super grateful to be here.
So, hey, thanks for jumping on here. The recent federal cutbacks is just the reason for being here. Unfortunately, it's always good to talk to friends. I always hate that this is the circumstance. People don't realize just, talking about the federal cutbacks and some of the things and the programs that are happening at the federal level. They think, well, hey, I'm not a federal employee, so it doesn't, impact me. But we're really seeing ripple effects across a lot of different industries. That economic development is no different. You work for Steadfast, which was working in new market tax credits and other things, which now have trickled down. And unfortunately, you find yourself in a position where we're having to talk about career transition. Let's dive into, you've had a successful consulting career in economic development and business development. When you look back, what are some of the skills and experiences you believe make you an asset to your next organization?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. As far as skills and assets that I think I bring to the table that have just acquired over time, I entered into the workforce at a very pivotal time. I graduated after the peak of COVID. It was a very tough time, Dave. I remember being in my cohort, and I kept through my master's halfway even, and it was just so rocky. I just took a breath and just said, hey, let's get into the workforce. I tell that backstory simply because, up until that point, economic development looked one way. And then the market shifted, the demands started to change, workforce looks different. So even as I went through college thinking I can do economic development, I did a 2.5-year internship where I was an economic development intern for the city of Springfield, Missouri. And so even up until the point where I graduated, I knew exactly what my career was going to look like, right? And then everything shifted. The ground beneath us was very hard to even feel out, So going back to the times that you were speaking on right now, where there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, and surely economic development is not exempt from that, unfortunately. But it's taught me a different level of skill sets that are not even specific to economic development, but definitely help me out in the long run. Being able to network, understanding client needs as I am a consultant, and I've worked for the private sector as well, so and public sector. So being able to understand what it means to have a community value at the heart of it. I'm serving one client that's across the country, or I have a more narrow focus for what that community needs are, how to create job creation. What does job creation even look like for that community? What does growth even look like for that community, right? So being able to just be as nimble as possible and just have a very elastic view of how to come at economic development has been the probably most pivotal skill I picked up of just enter into the workforce at such a profound time. So yeah, it's taught me a lot. I take pride in the work that I do as far as networking, being able to build connections no matter where I am. I mean, we're both country kids, right? So like to end up here, we had to kiss a couple of frogs. You know, our paths end up just unfolding in front of us every time you just make a different connection. So I love the business development aspect. That's the fun part of economic development for me, and just trying to make connections that are beneficial.
Just being problem solvers, right? And that's really at the heart of business development, is being able to understand what the problem is, hear it and understand it, and then know how you can help solve that. I think that's a valuable asset that you do have. Let's talk a little bit about, one, losing a job is never easy. But I think one thing that it does, though, it often opens up doors that you weren't expecting, right? And I love your attitude so far that we've had time to visit, and you get to learn a lot about yourself. So what have you learned about yourself during the short time of having to transition, and what kind of role excites you for the next chapter?
Yeah, I absolutely loved my job, transparently. And it's an unfortunate circumstance, but I view this as an opportunity. And even as I moved to Dallas and I was in a totally different career, I came from private equity before I got back into economic development. And one thing that I really saw myself doing long term was just being engulfed in Dallas. Like, I wanted to know what DFW needed. And my past job, everything was perfect except that, right? Like, I worked remote. All of my clients were in a different part of the country. And I just did not feel connected to where I was, right? It felt like I lived here in this apartment that so happened to be in Dallas. And then everything else that I did professionally was not in Dallas. And so, of course, I tried to take steps to kind of close that gap and bridge that gap by networking with you and a lot of other networking and economic development professionals and gurus of this area. And, for me, I think that this is an opportune time for me to find something in the area that I can really belong to as I try to really plant my feet in my career right now. I'm looking to grow where I'm planted. I love to travel. That's something that I still would love to do in my next role. I'm not taking that away. But if I can focus on a need that's here, that in a place that I want to call home, that excites me the most. That, like, I know that this area, and just specifically, is expecting exponential growth. Knowing that type of growth is in the pipeline and knocking on our door, waiting on us to answer, means that my skill set, my services, they'll be beneficial here. And I think that whether it's a small town or one of the larger hubs here in the DFW, that I think what I bring to the table, anyone can pretty much benefit from, because we're seeing so much growth happen, especially in the northern part of the DFW area. So that's exciting to me. That's nothing but opportunity and hopefully job security, right? I don't think the growth is going to stop anytime soon. So that's something that I look forward to, is finding who needs the most help, and how I can roll up my sleeves and just be a bull at the end of the day. Like, tell me where to go, tell me what you need, what the need is, and put me in the field.
I'm excited to see your passion for that type of work, and being willing to go all in, especially in DFW. All right, so we know job search in today's market, it's a lot more than just a resume. As you know, in business development, it's about networking and making the right connections, and that's what we're doing here today, is to try to help you find those connections, people that are looking for good talent that's in the marketplace. So tell us about the company and culture and maybe leadership style that you're looking for in the next role.
Yeah, absolutely. Me personally, I like any environment that invites me to grow organically. I'm a visionary by heart. And so any culture, any CEO that can allow me the space and the capacity to just think. I'm a natural thinker. I like to brainstorm. I like to have think tanks, things of that nature, right? And I know that when you think of economic development, like, it's not it's not specifically marketing. It's not specifically one thing. And so like that creates like a rock steady situation where you need some things that like, hey, we've always done it this way. It's proven to work. Let's stick to it. And sometimes you'll have a day where like none of this has worked for 20 years. I need somebody that can think differently, right? And that I can't put that on a resume. I don't know how to say like whenever you need a person to help to challenge you as a boss, not necessarily in a way that I'm questioning your methods, but if you need someone that's going to bounce some ideas off of you, if I had my last CEO, I had dinner with them a couple months ago, and one thing that we talked about, I just flat out asked him because we had built a relationship from day one, where he wanted open and honest transparency from his employees. So he treated me to dinner and said, "Hey, like I just want to know like how does it feel where you are, right? You're a little bit further down the chain of command, but I'm so far up here. Like I need a good pulse on what's going on." And I was open and honest, and we laughed and we talked about it. And just as he wanted that feedback from me, I wanted to give him something that kept him sharp as well. How do you stay driven as a leader? How can we help you, make sure that we carrying out your vision? This is your company. What do you see needs to happen? And although that was private, I think a lot of these conversations can happen in cities, in towns. Like I don't think that strategic plans are the end all be all, right? So sometimes we have to sit around and as a community and say, are we growing in the right direction? Has our definition of growth changed? Are we still looking to do the same things we were trying to do 5 years ago? And so being that high level sometimes is what's needed, I believe. And then, of course, we don't necessarily know how to put it on our resume about building those connections. Like networking is like the go-to word, right? But who are we networking to? It's definitely deeper than that. Like who are we actually networking to? How is this connection going to help us tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years? And I think that being able to just see that on all levels, whether you're the mayor, the city planner, the economic development specialist, the marketing team, we all play a role in how growth internally is going to happen. Because by the time, we start to put things in place, people just see a HEB coming up. Like they have no idea what conversations, happen. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that's the beauty of being on the inside. Like you said, I may or may not ever see the fruits of my labor entirely, but knowing that I'm a part of a process for a city that is really looking to grow and flourish is enough to like drive meaningful work for me. And I think that like that's the reason that we get up and do what we do. And that's very hard to put on a resume, to your point. Like that's something that is hard to articulate if not, having conversations like these, or maybe not even coming up in interviews right off the bat, right? Like there's like you said, it's a level of trust that you get from your potential leader, to where you can have open and honest conversations, and just the ability to just be autonomous with approach and recognizing strengths, I think is huge for me too. I've had great bosses, but we're still trying to find their way on like how to lead personnel. And that's not an easy task. I'm not trying to make it seem easy at all. That's definitely not an easy task. But some of the best people that I worked for just allowed the strengths of their players to be their strengths and not confine them. I think we end up turning our wheels too much and trying to fit people into boxes and spaces that's just not their strengths. And so knowing what my strengths are, I think that I would fit into a culture and an environment that could definitely play on those and recognize those and allow me to take off running in those. I'm always looking for growth.
You have an impressive background. Let's talk about why a hiring manager who may be scrolling on LinkedIn, why would they stop and click on your LinkedIn profile? What and send you a message? What is it that you want people to know, and why should they find you on LinkedIn and send you a message?
I think that what I have to offer that would make a recruiter stop in their tracks and say, let me send her a message is similar to those things that I said I can't put on paper. I think that networking is just kind of an overarching word that we can put on, like, are you able to shake a hand? And so although that is a strength of mine, it's something I do take pride in. And it's the same with economic development. Like, such a beautifully vague term for, like, what do you even do, right? But I think, like, for me, what's very hard to articulate is the passion that or drive that I bring to anything that I touch. I read it in a book one time, and I just took it to heart. I was in college, and it's something that I keep on my desk every day. It's sitting right here. And that's nothing dies in my hands. And I think that every day I show up to work with the mentality that if there's a task that's given to me, if there's a overarching goal that we need to reach as a company, nothing dies in my hands. And I think that, that again, that's hard to put on paper, that's hard to articulate, but that being a strength that I believe you cannot teach.
Magic, what's the perfect role look like for you?
If I had a magic wand and could create the perfect role, it would be a merge of economic development and business development. And I know that they already kind of tie into a little bit, but I think where I thrive the best is in the field. I think I definitely have a calling for the marketplace, whether that's economic development as far as business retention and expansion, strategic plans, you name it, all the things, workforce development, all the things. I think that where I play a huge role, and if I had to create my own role, it would sort of look like consulting in the long run. But as of now, I'm still in a very pivotal part of my career where I am just trying to soak up in as much knowledge as I can that, if and when the case, presents itself and I feel ready and prepared, which do we ever feel like totally ready or prepared? This is where I'm always humble because there's just so much to know all the time. And it's a market that's ever changing. So right when you even think you have something figured out, you wake up the next day and it's actually like, I know nothing. I think that perfect role exists. I would love to be a developer that is just known as an accelerator. I want to be able to be in spaces where, like, if they see my face, they know something's about to change for them. And they don't know how fast, they don't know how, but I want to be known that whatever is in my hands, it does not die there. And I think that only comes from knowledge. It comes from networking. It comes from being in a supportive environment that, my employer sees that, plays off my strengths. I'm willing to learn. I learn very quickly. And it'll be fun to get back into the private or public sector again. I think that I don't even have a preference at this point, as long as it's somewhat of a blend between those two. If I had pixie dust and could just wave it, I would be at a conference every month shaking hands and then bring back.
There's some skill in being able to do that. And it is hard to find people who, one, are willing to do it and be able to do it good, right? So I think that is a valuable skill that you bring to the marketplace. The business development with the understanding of why I'm here, right? What is it and how do I solve your problems by getting you back to my community? So I think there's incredible opportunities out there for you, whether that's on the private side, helping economic developers find tools that they need to do their job, or, if you find a community that was looking for someone who can, they can put on the road and say, okay, we've got, here's 7 conferences we're going to do this year. Go do it. I think that's a valuable asset that you're going to bring to the marketplace. Super excited to see where you land and how you take that passion, your skills, and put it to use in the marketplace. So absolutely sure you're going to find something and be able to dive into it and bring that value to the organization.
Well, thank you so much, Dave. These are exciting times. Something's around the corner.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to visit with you and to share your story, and look forward to seeing what's next. Oh, one last thing. Tell people where they can find you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. My LinkedIn handle is my first name and last name, Kyra Guy. That you can type that in the search bar. The actual handle is Kyra Guy 97.
For another episode of Success from Day One. We've been talking to career transitions with Kyra Guy. Please, if you know of a position, if you think of somebody that should be a good fit for, please reach out to her on LinkedIn, connect with her, and let's see if we can help this young lady find the next cool career. All right, Kyra, thanks. See you later. Make it a great day.
Hey.